Okay, real quick, taking a look at this profile page, we were going to see that the KD ratio is the exact same as it was yesterday. The reason for this is that this is a continuation of yesterday's video. This is part 2 of Battlefield 6 and the 59-year-old's sea stories about Kings Point, the United States Merchant Marine Academy. Yesterday when I recorded the video for this topic, by the end of it I found that I had run 43 minutes long. And I felt that was entirely too long for a single video, so I split it in half. And this is the continuation. I do want to apologize in advance. I want to apologize for yesterday and for this one. Apparently, I had installed some software to create 3D effects in my headphones for the gameplay. And I did not know that that software changed the audio sampling rate of my microphone. That went from 48,000 hertz down to 44,100 hertz. And as a result, it created that warbling effect that you hear in the video. I am very sorry about that. I had no idea what was going on. I have taken corrective action so that it doesn't happen again in the future. And I have tried to scrub that sound from the soundtrack for this video. I did not get it all out. I tried my best, but there was only so much I could do once it had been recorded. So take that with a grain of salt. And with that said, here is part 2.
Bloomington's beautiful.
So the next time we had a plea beat, I tried the same thing, but somebody, one of the DIs saw me. Right, he knew I wasn't being punished. He saw me step off the wall, and I'm doing push-ups on a sweaty tile floor with my feet, with my hands sliding out from under me. And also after lunch at Delano Hall. Delano Hall was the mess hall. You would have to run the gauntlet, right? So basically, all the DIs would stand outside the front doors, and as you walked out, bracing with no wall, right, at attention with your neck pushed back, they would sit there and basically you had to walk the gauntlet to get out of the mess hall. And I quickly figured out that if I was a very slow eater, that by the time I finished eating, they would usually move on. I could get out without having to go through the gauntlet. You got to think smarter, not harder, right? Work smarter, not harder. Other noteworthy things is I had a roommate who had never been away from home in his entire life. Now, I was in Civil Air Patrol, man. I used to go to summer encampments. I used to, go on bivouacs. I used to do all kinds of stuff. Leaving home was no big deal. This guy had never been away from home, and for probably the first week of indoc summer, man, he would cry himself to sleep. I'm not kidding. I love the guy. I was ready to kill him. I'm trying to go to sleep, and I hear him whimpering in his bed saying that he missed his mom. I'm just like, dude, if you're going to start that shit, just go away. You're unworthy to be here. Now, he finally toughened up, but he'd just never been away from home. And, first experience away from home, right? It was pretty rough on him. Also, Kings Point freshman year, I failed English, my native tongue. I failed English. The only class I ever failed at the academy was English. And there was this English teacher. His name was Percy Bardot. And Percy, if you're listening, you're a fucking asshole. Sorry for anybody. I didn't give the advance warning. This guy, he'd turn in your English paper, right? And if you had like 10 or 11 mistakes, he'd fail you. And and then you could take the paper and you could correct the mistakes and resubmit it, and to try to so if you failed it and you remitted it properly, then you could get like a D. But what he wouldn't tell you was he would count. He would go down 10 mistakes and then he'd stop grading. So then you'd go through and you fix the 10 mistakes, and then he'd basically, when you turn it in for remission, he'd pick up where you left off, and he'd count another 10 mistakes and fail you. What a prick! I hated that guy. He had the most, okay, plug your ears, most fucked up laugh I ever heard. Oh, I hated that guy. Only class I ever failed. And after I failed the class, I mean, you have to maintain a 2.0, GPA, or they'd kick you out. In fact, one of my roommates, Jerry, I'm not going to give his full name. Jerry failed out. He couldn't keep the GPA up. But I had a choice. I could either, retake the class with him, with Percy, or and quote unquote remit the class, or I could just retake the entire class and add that to my existing workload for the next quarter, because we went by quarter, not semester. And I'm like, I don't want anything to do with this guy. I'll take the extra workload. I'll redo it. So I aced the second time I took it with a different instructor, but because I failed the first, A and an F averaged to a C, so I ended up getting a C in my English freshman year. Touching on academics, 24 credit hours. Now, anybody that goes to college knows that 13 credit hours is full-time. By the way, if you watch my gun tactics here, my tank tactics, I level every building. I take away all the hiding spots I can, and then gun down the people as they run out. But we took 24 credit hours a quarter, not a semester, a quarter. Okay? We finished a 4-year college degree in 3 years. And the reason why we did it in 3 years is because as merchant mariners, we needed a full year at sea to get our license. So we did 2 6-month sea cruises as midshipmen. And so, my junior year or my sophomore year, right after my plebe year, after my freshman year, I went straight to sea, and I reported to the ship was the President Johnson out of Seattle. My sea partner's name was Matt. I'm leaving last names out, and we went to the Far East. The ship left Seattle. We went up and hit Kodiak, Alaska. And this is the first time I'd ever been to sea. So when I got off the ship in Kodiak, Alaska, I was really amazed that the pier was moving. Right, you have your sea legs, not quite worked out yet. The pier was, and you're like kind of walking down the pier like you're drunk. The pier was moving. But then we went to Dutch Harbor. Was our second stop. If you guys ever watched Deadliest Catch, that's Dutch Harbor. I'll never forget the first time I went to Dutch Harbor. I was manning the radar on the bridge, and I was seeing these really fast moving blips on the radar, and I'm like lifting up, looking up from the scope. I'm looking out, and I don't see anything in the water, and I finally figure out that those fast movers were bald eagles. The bald eagles are so large up there that you could actually see them on the radar on the boat. And I bought like 20 pounds, 25 pounds of king crab for $1.50 a pound up there. Back in the day, we ate like kings when we left Dutch Harbor. Then we went to Yokohama, Japan, and then we went to Kobe, Japan. Cleanest country you will ever meet. I mean, that you ever walk on. I mean, this country is immaculate. It is such a beautiful country, Japan. In Kobe, we discovered what was called a motomachi. A motomachi is like a mall, but it was under the high-rise buildings. Unbelievable place to be. Food was spectacular. People were awesome. Japan was, I would love to go back to Japan. From Japan, we went down and we hit Taiwan, Kaohsiung and Keelung, Taiwan. Taiwan was known for. Now, by the way, you couldn't afford anything in Japan. The value of the dollar to the yen was so weak. I mean, it was like $10,000 for a stereo. But that was Japan. So Japan, we usually went there and sightsaw. We saw the sights, and in Taiwan, they were known for onyx and jade. So I got like handmade chess sets that were hand carved from onyx and jade. Brass, so I got like brass clocks and stuff there. They are also known for the red light district, but this is a PG rated show. I'm not going to talk about that stuff. Use your imagination. Anybody in the military, you know what I'm talking about. And then Hong Kong. Hong Kong was great for electronics. Now this was in 1986, right? This was 10 years before the China, the British surrendered the occupation of Hong Kong back to the Chinese, and women were desperate to get their children out. And I had a woman actually offer me her daughter. If you know, to marry her daughter, just to get her out of Hong Kong. Tell you what, man, to a kid, that 19-year-old kid, I'm like, what? But in Hong Kong, I bought a 2-inch. It was called a Watchman, not a Walkman, but a Watchman. It was a 2-inch TV, because at the academy, I didn't mention it. At the academy, there was one TV for the entire regiment. Now, first-classmen, you know, the seniors, they had wardrooms, right? They had room with a TV in each barracks. They had a little kitchen where they could make bagels and stuff. But if you were a freshman, sophomore, or junior, the underclassmen, there was one TV, and that was at Land Hall, and we packed in there every week, right? We had to watch, you know, Thursday night must-see TV, right? We had to watch, you know, Cosby Show and Family Ties and Cheers, and we'd pack in there like sardines in this one room to watch TV. So to me, having my own personal little TV, which by the way was contraband at the time, but it was so small I could keep it hidden, and me and my roommate Scott, we'd sit and watch. You know, we'd lay on the bunk and we'd kind of put our heads together to watch this little TV. I picked that up in Hong Kong. We also hit Okinawa, Guam. You know, just a fantastic. And then our second cruise in Yokohama, we jumped ship onto another freighter that was making runs between Korea and Japan. And so we got over to Busan, Korea, and you know, that place was, you could get copies of anything. I'll never forget Ree Jeans, not Lee Jeans, Lee, Ree Jeans, Ree. And if you looked at the jeans on the leather tag, it said Ree, Ree. You could get copies of Reeboks. They would copy everything. And then there was the Texas Street. Now, at the end of Texas Street, there was a shop that made leather jackets, you know, bomber jackets. And Matt and I wanted to go get a leather bomber jacket. So we went there, and it was getting dark, and Texas Street was the red light district. So by the time we got there, all the ladies of the evening came out. And if you have little kids, plug their ears for a second. Hey, Joe, $20, Joe, all night, sucky fucky, Joe. They're grabbing onto your arm, and you're like, I just want a jacket. So you know, that was Busan, Korea. Man, that was a memory. And it, you know, so it was. I mean, I'm 19 years old, man. I'm in the Far East. It was an unbelievable experience. I saw, you know, wild animals at sea. I saw humpback whales, and I saw, you know, seals. I've seen sharks and turtles, and I saw sea spouts. I miss the open water. I'll be God's honest truth, man. I miss the open water. When you go out to sea and you get far enough from land where you have no light pollution and you can see the sky at night, and the stars and the Milky Way, and it is unbelievably beautiful. And I honestly miss that. That is one thing I truly miss, is the open water. So, you know, back at the academy, you know, we did the sea years. In order to graduate the academy at Kings Point, you have to get a Coast Guard license. And it was basically, there's two of them. It was either deck or engine, right? That's basically the only majors you can really take at the academy. Now, you get a Bachelor of Science for both degrees, but the deck is a marine transportation license, Bachelor of Science in Marine Transportation with logistics minor. That's what I got, where you learn how to drive a ship. You learn, you know, the rules of the road. You learn cargo operations. You learn logistics. You learn about bills of lading and how to load a ship, and you learn how to balance the loads on a ship so a ship doesn't capsize. You learn how to dig out a sextant and navigate by the stars. My God, that is so much fun. I actually owned my own sextant, and I may tell you about that one when I went on a cruise ship. I had to explain to TSA what a sextant was. It wasn't a device for terror. It actually measures the angular distance between a heavenly body and the horizon. So I might talk about, the celestial navigation and how that works if you guys are interested. But I can't seem to get you guys interested in money, so I don't know if I want to go into that one. You have to dig out your calculator, spherical trigonometry, to calculate your position on the surface of the Earth with nothing but a stopwatch and the stars. But anyways, you have to take a license, and if you guys think like taking tests at school are hard, if you think the SAT or the ACT is hard, the licensing exam is 5 days, 8 hours a day, open book. They don't care. The problem is that there's so much to learn. There's no way you're going to learn it in the amount of time they give you. You have to be on the ball. You have to be able to do the math, like right now to figure out your positions, or know the rules of the road. Is another one. I'll swing back to that, but you have to pass the license. If you don't pass the license, you don't graduate. That's a requirement. Kings Point, now I didn't mention this, Kings Point was founded in 1943 as an academy to make sailors to man the Liberty ships. That was its founding, right? They were putting out thousands and thousands of Liberty ships, and the academy was there to train the crews. That's what it was founded for. And in fact, Fulton Hall, that was the engineering building, has a boiler from a Liberty ship in it, and the engineers had to learn how to work it, how to fix it. So you have to pass that licensing exam to graduate, and it's 5 days long, 8 hours a day. And when you finally get word that you passed your license, you went and rang the ship's bell. And there's a YouTube video of them showing the cadets ringing the bell. And I may put that in the description below. I may put the link in it. When I found that link, it's emotional, right? It's like I remember that. I remember doing that. And it's one of the greatest feelings in the world when you accomplish that. One thing, real quick, I'm kind of pushing my limit here, but another thing about the academy is a tradition called when you get a Dear John letter. You know that old saying, right? If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with, right? So it's a tradition at the academy because college-age kids, you go to the academy, your girlfriend or boyfriend, goes to another school. It's just a matter of time before you get the Dear John letter. And the tradition at the academy was when you get a Dear John letter that you post it on the battalion bulletin board, and that everybody writes her, letters, basically, calling her every name in the book that you can imagine. And yes, I got a letter like that, and yes, I posted it on the battalion bulletin board. And if that person is listening, I am sorry. It still bothers me to this day that I did that, because she was a nice girl, and she really didn't deserve the hate and vitriol that went her way. So if she's listening, I am sorry, sincerely. But it was funny. My roommate Scott, he actually took her letter and grammar checked it and sent it back to her, telling her that she needed to get her money back from her school because she wasn't learning anything. Oh, jeez. Like I said, I'm sorry if you're listening. But yeah, it got vicious, man. Can you imagine if you're a girl and you break up with a guy at the academy, and all of a sudden you're getting like 300 or 400 letters going, "Dear bitch, you effing whore." Oh man. Like I said, I'm sorry if you're listening. And then we graduated in June of 1990. Oh, my second year in 1988. I actually worked a tanker that was running between San Francisco and Houston, Texas, and I went through the Panama Canal like 5 times. So, it's the greatest experience in the world. If you guys if you even think about going to a military academy, consider Kings Point. I mean, the options are vastly superior to that of any of the other academies, and it's a little bit easier to get in because people just don't know about it. Like I said, I got a direct appointment there, where at Annapolis I got the prep school. So something to think about if you guys are thinking about the academy. And like I said, you can serve in any branch. You can or none at all, right? Be in the Naval Reserve and serve the maritime community. So that's kind of Kings Point. It was a once in a lifetime experience. It's funny, a lot of people have recurring dreams. I dream about the academy and I dream about the Navy, and that I mean, at least once or twice a week I dream about it. It was a special place. It really was. I didn't appreciate it when I was there because I was gung-ho Navy, and it wasn't as gung-ho as I wanted it to be. But looking back at it as I got older, I'm like, what a fantastic opportunity it was, and I am so grateful that the good Lord gave it to me. It's not easy to get in. You still need a congressional nomination or appointment. You still have to do well in school and academics. It's just like getting into any other academies, but because fewer people know about it, the opportunity is a little bit easier. So you might want to consider it. So that was Kings Point. If you guys want to hear more about money, like I said, I wanted to talk about how to make money, right? I want to talk about how to start a business with no money. I wanted to tell you guys how to how to make money, how to take advantage of the tax system legally. What Trump was talking about when he was debating Hillary about how to use the tax system to your advantage. I want to talk about this stuff, but if no one's going to watch it, do I really want to sit down and make videos on it? I read every comment, I really do, and I may not respond to them all, but I read every one of them. And if you guys have suggestions, if there's something you guys want me to talk about, I'm all ears. I'd love to do it for you. So that's kind of the end of this one. Another thanks for your memory in the future will probably be the Navy, the ships I served on, some of the experiences I saw and did. But this one, everything has to has a beginning, and for me, it was at the academy. That was the beginning, and I thank you. I am humbled and honored that you guys subscribe and you watch and you comment to my videos. I feel like I am unworthy of that kind of attention. And the other day, I actually had someone comment that my fans want to help me become better at Battlefield. And it really took me aback. I actually went and talked to the wife. I said, "Holy shit, I got fans! I thought I was an asshole. I didn't think anybody liked me, and here I got fans." So, anyways, thank you so much. I am humbled and honored. This is going to be the end of this one. So, comment anything you want to see in the future. I'm all ears. And this is Sea Bear out.